While much of the town of Missouri Valley is okay, the houses in this area, south of the train tracks, took in several feet of water, destroying homes like the one behind me.
So we thought we were okay this time. It always goes out somewhere else, but it didn't this time.
Rhonda Mosseth left her home of 35 years behind last Wednesday. When it became apparent the floodwaters would get to her house, she came back Sunday to devastation.
It just totaled everything. Everything's mud and it's just ruined.
Now she's left picking up the pieces of her most precious items.
I lost my dad's Bible. You can't replace that stuff.
Down the road, this entire storage facility took in more than 2 feet of water. Rose Phillips had a house worth of stuff inside her unit after moving into an RV last year. She now has to toss items worth thousands of dollars.
Kind of a struggling person, a struggling veteran making it from month to month.
But like Rhonda, her mind is on the personal items she can never get back.
Those are my mom's pictures. I grew up my entire life looking at these pictures, daydreaming about the perfect life was in those pictures, and losing those pictures is going to be the one thing that
Halloween pictures
breaks my heart, losing pictures like this.
Many in Missouri Valley are wondering what they'll do next. After living here her whole life, Rhonda is now looking to move on.
We're gonna leave. I can't live here. I can't do this again next year.
Good evening. I'm right now on the Platte River, across the river from Louisville. The water levels are still increasing as we speak. Take a look at this right now. The waves are pounding down on the Platte River. I've honestly never seen a sight like this before in my life. So I'm about 5'8", and just from this distance, it looks like these waves are just as tall as me, if not to my shoulders, and it's smashing on the bridge of what is Highway 50. We've heard that they are shutting down this bridge as we speak, so tons of traffic right now across Highway 50 as they're trying to get off before these water levels get high. There's a chance that this bridge might get flooded with the pace that these water levels are going. I talked to some residents today who came back to their houses to see that they were flooded. On the Platte River, residents along Highway 50 are seeing just how powerful,
it's bad,
and sadly dangerous,
this is probably the biggest one I've seen,
water can be.
I'm gonna cry.
Kathy Nielsen's cabin is completely submerged.
It's not the first time, but this is the worst time that we've had it this deep. And we've never had it go in the cabin before.
With her car damaged, she's hoping that's the only valuable destroyed.
Oh yeah, it's like our house, we've got, beds and all of our, appliances, things that you can't take out of the house.
Next door, the popular Heron Bay bar is underwater. Owner Shirley Smith said her home and business were above the water when they evacuated last night.
I lost my breath for a second. Went,
a smell of a hiss.
Yeah, it's just another nature coming back. I think it's telling us we better clean our act up.
And when Mother Nature's at her worst, human spirits are at their best. Here in Cedar Creek, the communities took off from school and work to lay down sandbags to help out a fellow neighbor.
Well, that's the beauty of it, because there's no questions asked. People just show up. It's just tight-knit and everybody helps each other.
Unfortunately, the water isn't leaving anytime soon.
But it's a lot of cleanup and a lot of work, and you do what you can do,
Seeing all the people around us and knowing everybody's together, I think we'll take care of each other and be okay.
DHS is unfair. DHS is unfair. They don't do anything about it. That's why they're all mad. That's why I'm mad. There's nothing ever done about it.
Freshman Wilnice Rifen says events leading up to this student protest have frustrated her classmates for a while.
We're hoping to have our voices heard and to have Ms. Holt out of here.
Students say they're upset with American history teacher Crystal Holt. They say she used the N-word during a history lesson about the death penalty. She explained her use of the word to a local radio station in an interview that was shared by her husband, Iowa State Representative Stephen Holt, on Facebook.
The case deals with racism, and I asked why they put hate crimes on their board, and one of the students said because in the reading it says he used pejorative terms. And another student in that group said, what does pejorative mean? And I said, it means derogatory. And the student said, what does derogatory mean? And I said, It means terms that are not nice to race, and continued trying to explain that. And I said he used the N-word, and then I said he used the word.
Students say they don't think she needed to use it, that they understood without the word.
I get like, oh, it was like context, but you could have said the N-word. You didn't have to say with a hard ER.
Students from all grades walked out in protest of the situation. They say this isn't the first time it's happened.
All I've known is that she has said this racial slur back in the past, and in a few months, like, she's repeated herself for several years.
She has done this multiple times in multiple different places.
Anna Navarro was one of the first to walk out.
It's 2019, almost 2020. We should have gotten rid of this a while ago. It just keeps happening. We don't want that in the U.S.
Some want Holt gone.
She should be fired because she has no right to say that.
The school's principal and superintendent eventually came out and spoke with students.
Let's go find a time that we can talk, and let's start the healing process and start moving us forward.
Ryfin says the word hurts.
You know, you feel really small whenever you're here because you're just, you know, that one black girl in the class. You know, I can say the N-word to you, you know. Because you're the only black girl, let me say the N-word to you. So it makes me feel great, you know? Yeah. There's so many people willing to stand up for it.
But despite the division the word creates, Ryfin says her classmates' support empowered her.
I feel like inspired, you know? I feel like I can finally like stand up to...
This is Nebraska Strong.
I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. A lot of people are waiting for those. All right.
Dozens of pilots donating their planes, fuel, and time to bring supplies from Millard to Fremont.
They're stranded, they're stuck, they don't have any other options, and be able to come with friends to ferry stuff up and get people home. It's just kind of the best of humanity, I guess.
Jim Davis caught a donated flight to Omaha to see a doctor.
A lot of the doctors can't make it to the Fremont hospital, and so the only way I could get my treatment was to come here today.
Davis describes Fremont as a muddy island. And his house?
Oh, my house burned down 2 days before the flood. I haven't had all bad luck. I just haven't been able to think any good luck lately.
Jug of water in here?
Volunteers on the ground at the Millard Airport collected donations from the community and loaded them on planes.
We got passengers coming on board. Okay. We'll go from there, okay?
Right. Crystal Sandoval is a medication aide at an assisted living home in Fremont.
They're probably doing good. They're in good hands.
She's flying into work to relieve colleagues who've been on duty since Friday.
Because that's my job.
With her suitcase in tow, she isn't sure when she'll make it back.
And when some of the roads open up, I guess. I don't know.
It's only a 20-minute flight, and Mayfield has made dozens of them the past 2 days.
Yeah, and you put yourself in their shoes. They don't have any option. There's no roadways in. They're waterlocked in there, and so yeah, it's a pretty desperate feeling for them.
And this is why they call it Nebraska Strong.
Thank you. That's what we're here for.
There's another tractor with the large tires trying to get through the flood waters right now. He was over in the shoulder. Now he's moving on to the main roadway, trying to get through the water. You see the fire and rescue teams throwing on their life jackets so that they can help get this man to safety, or this person to safety. And I see that they are getting the tractor in, and they're trying to get this guy. He might be actually on the tractor. Kevin has a better view on his camera and the viewfinder there. And so right now, just a very tense, dangerous situation over here, just proving to you guys how important it is to take heed to their advice, to emergency and county officials when they let you guys know what's going on. When they say, hey, it's dangerous over here, it's important that people listen, because things like this can happen. And if you look over at the water, I mean, it is just difficult, even for the tractors with the huge tires to get through. You see all that water kind of pushing through as they make their way closer to where we are on this side of Highway 34. It's been several days since the flood water has gone down here in North Bend, but the work for community and business owners out here is just beginning. Sean Jewell's home wasn't affected by the floods, but that wasn't the case here.
Right away you could tell the door was caved in on the end, and we had about 18 inches of water, so we knew that it was bad.
His small business was ruined.
All the lower end of the drywall got ruined there. Some stuff had floated around and pulled monitors off of the desks. Computer towers, it was 2.5 foot deep on the computer towers, And of course they were underwater.
And to make matters worse, Sean had just begun construction to add more office space.
It's rough, yeah. You know, the emotions are up and down.
Schools are closed, and a once busy business district now sits empty. There are even more issues. Sewer and water systems are still offline.
You cannot flush your toilets. You cannot put anything down the drain in the house. Anything you put down a drain is going to come back up in your neighbor's house.
Public Information Officer Nathan Arneal says it could be another 24 hours until they know if the water is safe to drink. And with the possibility of more rain later in the week, the city isn't in the clear just yet.
So we're asking people and businesses to hang on, don't start throwing away your sandbags yet. Keep them in place.
Out in Pacific Junction lies the Boomer Estate.
Dad bought it and remodeled it into a house.
Deanne Hebner moved here when she was 3. Her dad's been out here for the last 55 years.
This is the first time that I've come to look at this since it all happened. We've just now made it up here because with all the water along the way, you can't get through.
And for the first time in a half-century, he'll need a new residence.
They were in here today and inspected it this morning. It makes sense.
Deanne, her daughter Tanya, and I walked in together.
This is what's going to give me nightmares.
Water.
What is there, like 8, 9 steps to go down?
Had destroyed her childhood home.
57 years he's lived here and only had like 6 or 8 inches in the basement. Never has it been up here.
And the damage wasn't only inside the house. A front yard once filled with green grass, now laced with corn stalks in all directions.
I don't know if he wants to fix it up or he just says bulldoze it in. Spent, years of my life here growing up, but the main thing is Grandpa safe.
Stanley Boomer had stayed in the house throughout most of the flooding.
I was upstairs, it didn't really bother me.
When he came down here at that time, there's 16 inches of water. He knew he can't stay.
He was rescued the following Monday.
So I had to wade out up to about there, and 2 guys just grabbed me by the shoulders, the arms, and just drag you over the front of the boat.
The house?
The way I look at it, it's just trash,
Possessions are replaceable. Lives?
Ain't much worth saving, is there?
That's a different story.
Ain't much worth saving.
You are. You're worth saving.
Early Thursday morning, family and friends gathered outside this Gretna home.
I'm just going to fiercely try to keep her memory alive so nobody forgets, or my kids, or anyone else, who she was.
Since losing her 16-year-old daughter Addison in a crash, Wendy Pfeiffer says she's been dreading the first day of school all summer.
She was super excited to go and be an upperclassman. She had a lot of good, fun things planned that she was looking forward to.
To keep her daughter's memory alive, Pfeiffer invited friends, family, and former teammates over for donuts before they headed off to school.
It's just going to be different for the rest of high school because you won't see all of them walking in the halls and laughing in class, and it's just going to be really different than how it has been before.
Liliana Canan says she and Addison had known each other their entire lives.
She just loved making people laugh, and she was just friends with everyone. She could go into any group at school and just talk, and she would be welcome there.
Notes filled with memories of Addison covered the hood of her blue Chevy Impala. And friends reminisced about the times spent together.
I don't want her to be just a lesson to people, a lesson or an example or whatever, people often say. I just want her to be remembered for, who she was.
And on days like this, Wendy says it's those firsts that hurt the most.
It's all the firsts that are hard that I keep saying. She was our first kid, and so she usually takes us through all the firsts, and now we're doing all these firsts without her.
And before everyone left for school, 1, 2, 3. Blue balloons filled the air in memory of the Gretna 4. As the school year goes on, this community is sure to remain Gretna Strong.
Laughter welcomes you at Imagine It Yarn Shop.
Well, either way, it's got to be dumped. Yeah.
A community of women sharing stories around a table, knitting needles in hand.
She sent me a letter back and she said they literally have changed her life.
These ladies aren't crafting for their grandchildren or shaping a scarf.
Have not kept track of how many we've given away. but it's been a lot.
They're knitting knockers.
They can pull fiberfill out or adjust them if they need to, because some women aren't even on each side or whatever.
Cheryl Block heard about the national nonprofit years ago and organized the local Knitted Knockers group. They work with donated time and materials to create breast prostheses. They knit 2 at a time, but if you don't need the twins, you can get just one. And these ladies have some fun. Different sizes, colors. They decorated this one.
They're totally free to anybody who wants them.
Over the past 3 years, these ladies have knitted hundreds of knitted knockers. They come in different cup sizes. Now, once they're done being knitted, they're filled just with this regular fiber fill here. These then fit in any regular bra.
I just think it's a very sweet idea. Women thinking about women.
Norma Morehouse had a mastectomy in the early 90s. She has a bowl full of breast prostheses. She displayed them like this just for us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is like air.
Yeah, that weighs nothing.
Yeah.
A prosthesis can be heavy, uncomfortable when it's hot, and pricey. Morehouse prefers the knitted knocker.
That it is light, it's airy, it's easily washable. When I wear that, I know that somebody cared enough and thought about that to sit down and take the time to make that for another woman, for a sister.
Some chemos just really kick your butt.
Pam Wendy is also a breast cancer survivor. She knits with this group every week and drops the finished products off at area clinics. They keep some at the shop, too.
I didn't lose my breast, but I can pay it forward to somebody else.
It's only fitting we mention the support here as they make memories over mammaries. Also looped into the work, a lot of love. It starts with these women.
We probably get as much out of it as the gals who get them on the other end.
And weaves through lives.
She said she finally feels like a woman again.
Far beyond this table.
Alrighty.
This is retired Navy veteran Keith Sherman's 40th stop on his tour of the United States.
I wanted to see the fabric of America. The quintessential example of that is like driving through cornfields for like 15 miles on dirt roads to come out here to a farm to talk about, You
just don't want any other family to go through what you've gone through.
Sherman is documenting the memories of fallen heroes.
There's more than a name on a wall somewhere. There's a story behind the name.
Captain Robert Jose Illescas.
His mother, Barbara, says Robert was the leader of their family. His siblings joined the military because of him.
Very proud to be an American.
Captain Illescas deployed twice to Iraq and once to Afghanistan.
But when he left for Afghanistan, he had bad feelings. He wasn't going to come back. It was a very dangerous area. One of the biggest fears of a mother is that her child will be forgotten, that his sacrifice will be forgotten, and that he'll die a second death when she dies.
And her granddaughter, Julia, is keeping his memory alive, too.
It almost felt, when I saw those pictures, that he truly was there.
She asked her photographer to turn her senior portraits into an angel picture.
I was teary-eyed when I was editing them. All I could think in my head was, I don't ever want to have to do this for my own kids.
Captain Illescas' memory and sacrifice lives on in pictures and our nation's oldest archives.
Forever, for everybody to see for hundreds of years from now, for their, grandchildren and grandchildren's grandchildren.
The tolls so many American families have paid, forever preserved in the Library of Congress.
Everyone gets to pick one present, okay? So, ready, set, go!
It's tough not to smile when you watch kids strategically scope out the toy they have their sights set on. And that's the whole point.
All lined up right outside the door and watching them get all excited and all that and singing happy birthday. That was fun.
Yeah.
Happy
birthday to you.
Mike and Megan Mowdy would do anything to be singing happy birthday with their little boy.
3, 2, peekaboo!
But when Ace died in April, they made a decision.
When he first passed away, our biggest thing is we want everyone to remember him. We want our family to remember him. We want to talk about him like it was just a few days ago where we saw him. We want to keep his memory alive.
You need to tell him thank you.
You're welcome. Those are awesome.
And celebrate milestones like his second birthday.
Say cheese!
A Lincoln business helped make it happen.
But we worked with Mike for a while, and just when he started talking about what exactly he was planning and that sort of thing, it all hit home to us. All of us have kids.
Get it! Get it!
Employees at Complete Weddings raised $1,900 to buy 75 toys for kids and gift cards for the staff at Pre-K and Play Academy in Papillion, where Ace went.
And I think, you know, we could have made this day sad if we would sit there and kind of think about it too much, but we just really wanted, this is his day, we wanted to celebrate it. You know, we can be sad every other day, so we just wanted it to be a really positive, fun day.
Friends and family are making great memories on Facebook too.
I got this feeling inside my bones.
Dancing and acting silly like Ace loved to do.
You know, at the end of the day, he's still here with us, and we truly believe that. And he's, you know, he wouldn't want anyone to be sad, and he wouldn't want anyone to be crying today. He just, you know, obviously it's going to happen some point, but we want to make sure that we're doing right by him and making sure that we're keeping him alive with us as we do this.
Because time can seem to selfishly tick on when you're grieving. But filled with Ace's love, Mike and Megan Mowdy show us how to spread joy.
Thank you. Are you worried you're going to wear yourself out with practice swings or what? All right, let's see another one.
Jane Elam is part volunteer, part coach, and part motivational speaker.
You know what golf is? A lot of patience. You hurry up and then you wait.
On a sunny afternoon, she and Lewis Central sophomore Jack Knudsen are taking this course one swing at a time.
All right, let her rip. It's a great hit.
This is what the course looks like to him. Jack is partially blind.
So you can't see where the flag is up top?
Nah, not from up top, but I know where it's at.
There you go. That's on the green.
Not seeing doesn't seem to affect him.
He even had a fade on that.
He's pretty good.
That was awesome.
PGA, here we come.
The duo have just as much fun between swings as they do during.
One of these times you're actually going to give me a fist bump.
I'd like to mess around. I'm a messer.
Jane throws some shade too.
I was guessing his mom has gray hair because he gives her such a hard time all the time. Hole 9 right here.
One final hole to put it all together.
7-iron? Pretty much becoming a pro with that one, so I say we stick with it.
Before we know it, they're on the green putting a final time.
There it is.
Woohoo!
And for two strangers at the start of the day,
there you go. All right.
There's now a bond that can go beyond the course.
Jack's a good guy. I hope to come back next year, and I hope he's here too. Did you have fun today?
Yep.
All right.
A picture is worth so much more than 1,000 words. It's a memory, a feeling, a moment in time that can't be replaced, even if we wish it could be.
I think I was horrified, embarrassed, and afraid. And I still am.
25 years ago, Diane Paris fell in love.
I trusted him completely. I thought that I would be with this man forever.
While together, she let that man take a photo of her naked.
It never actually crossed my mind that someone would take a decades-old photo and put it in a scanner.
But her ex did. He sent a copy of it to her husband, who was running for state senator.
It was very plain in the letters that I was the reason my husband was supposed to leave the race.
Diane and her husband immediately called the police, but there was nothing they could do.
They said that's politics these days.
Almost every state in the U.S. has some type of revenge porn law, but Nebraska does not.
And this is really on the rise, especially with social media, with smartphones. It's happening to younger people, and this is a problem that is really a modern problem, and we need modern legislation to address it.
Senator Megan Hunt hopes to change that with her bill, LB 164. This bill would make revenge porn illegal, with first-time offenders facing up to 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine.
And it protects them from being fired, from being targeted for violence. It protects their reputations, and it's just something that Nebraska needs to get on board with.
How does this situation not matter to the people who are supposed to protect us or to the law?
After having no luck with the police, Diane's husband reported it to the FBI.
That's the only reason that he will see any punishment whatsoever, is because what he did was extortion.
Diane says her ex confessed to authorities and is now facing federal charges.
The fact that I had to share that with my children is, it's hard to find words to describe just how horrifying it is.
Diane says it's easy to say, just don't take a photo. But in a world where one click from a camera can destroy a life, she says blaming the victim is not the answer.
If you trust somebody, it's not your fault if somebody turns around and stabs you in the back. That isn't something that you have to blame yourself for. That is something that is on them.
Most of us have a footprint online, from social media, banking, to work. Our personal information is out there and vulnerable. A hacker can steal it. Sometimes, though, it's our own fault. Thumbdrives. They're incredibly convenient. A slim stick that can hold an incredible amount of information. And just like a computer, even if you erase what's on it, it leaves behind a trace. 3 News Now tested out just how vulnerable your information is, buying used thumb drives online to see if anyone left anything of value on the memory stick. We spent just about $20 and got 10 thumb drives on eBay. We brought them to Affordable Computer Repair in Bellevue.
We just plugged in that one drive, that was it. It came up with an empty folder.
Owner Steve Nickerson begins to look.
A lot of times what it finds is remnants.
The thumb drives read 0, but not for long.
It says it found 1342 files. Okay, so we'll see if they're actually there.
And in a matter of minutes, thousands of files, more than enough to paint a picture of who owned it.
And we're copying 4 gig off of that 1 gig stick. Amazing, isn't it?
We found a man's birth certificate, a scanned copy of his passport, a driver's license, W-4s, even a social security card, you name it. So we decided to track down the previous owner to let him know what we found. He lives up in South Dakota, so we hit the road and brought it right to him.
Literally everything.
Mike agreed to speak with us if we don't show his face. He couldn't believe what we found.
You're talking probably 2012, 2013, 7-8 years ago of something that I had no idea was even on here. Like, but literally, like, I mean, pretty much everything you need to make a new version of me, I guess, except for a DNA swab.
Mike had a bunch of old thumb drives and just wanted to make a few bucks.
Control-Alt-Delete, you delete all your files, unplug it, plug it back in, there's nothing there. Okay, you're fine, right? Well, maybe not so quickly.
Imagine if his information fell into the wrong hands.
I mean, it definitely makes you reconsider trying to sell them for a couple bucks online. That's 100% for sure.
Beyond Mike's info, we found so much more. Other drives revealed dozens of photos, family gatherings, fun trips, videos including this one, featuring a squirrel. It might not mean much to you and I, but whoever took it, it's a private moment. Even more, we found internal business documents, PowerPoint presentations, budgets. It was really incredible. On a lighter note, even a movie.
National Lampoon's got a movie clip here.
The classic film, Christmas Vacation.
Looks like it's trying to. There you go.
Nothing is ever really erased, and it doesn't take a computer genius or an expensive program to recover the data.
And that's why as long as the drive is not damaged, you should be able to recover a majority of your data.
In Mike's case, his identity could have been taken from him for a cheap price of just $10.
I mean, there's no amount of money that can replace this stuff for your identity.
You know, rideshares are extremely popular, but the problem is that people are a little too trusting when they get into a stranger's car. Downtown Omaha, Saturday night. The Capital District. Yeah! Big crowds mean big money for rideshare drivers.
I don't think she's in puke.
I've seen just about everything you can imagine.
Oh, that's just her phone. Oh my God.
For more than 2 years, Steve, known as the Rideshare Dude, has picked up close to 11,000 fares. He invited our cameras to get a glimpse into a typical weekend.
You never know who's going to get in that seat next to you.
Not for entertainment, but to show mistakes riders make all too often.
Are you for Taylor?
No.
Who are you for?
I can't tell you that.
You're not for Taylor?
No. I let her open the door, and she asked if I was here for her.
Oh, you're breaking my heart right now. You're not an Orange Giants Charger for Taylor.
No. All I would have had to do is say yes, and she would have gotten in my car. She was probably so intoxicated that she couldn't judge the difference between an SUV and a Charger.
Steve says that's the problem. People aren't paying attention, not even questioning before getting into a stranger's car.
People tend to trust too much and will just jump in the car thinking, oh, this guy's fine.
It can have devastating consequences. In March, 21-year-old Samantha Josephson disappeared in South Carolina after getting into this car. She mistook it for her Uber. The suspect used child locks on the doors so she couldn't escape. Her body was found just a day later.
And that brought me to the questions that are asked and what happens with me before people get into my car.
Also in March in Maryland, a woman is attacked by a man who claimed to be her rideshare driver. He follows her into her apartment building, attacks her in the elevator, demanding cash. He got into her apartment, stole some stuff, and took off. It turns out he wasn't a rideshare driver. With bar closing time looming, Steve's business picks up.
There are literally dozens of people standing outside looking at their phones, trying to figure out if they're going to get a ride.
Hi!
Hello.
This woman grabbed the door handle without asking. She and her friends hopped right in without hesitation.
Okay, how do you know I'm Steve?
What's your name and date of birth?
Nobody asked me. The last things that can get them into a dangerous situation, like, are you Steve? Well, any guy could pull up in a car and say, yeah, I'm Steve, get in.
Steve gets the word out, the do's and don'ts.
So what did you check before you got in my car?
I checked the color of your vehicle and the make and model of your vehicle. And your name before I got in.
Some are vigilant already.
We're just trying to look out for our
Steve wants to educate, remind riders to pay attention, take the time to learn the car, the license plate, and most importantly, the driver.
All it takes is one question. What's your name? It's so simple. That's what goes through my mind. There's only one person that's going to say Steve, and that's me. Nobody else.
Rideshare companies post safety tips on their websites, but there's really nothing better than to teach people in real time like Steve does.
Everyone gets a card.
You never know, you might need them one day.
And they're off. The week-long bike ride across Iowa, known as RAGBRAI, is officially underway.
It's just a great event. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's got the same goals. Everybody wants to be out on their bikes. It's a lot of fun.
Well, mostly bike riding.
I just had a Bloody Mary in there, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Whatever you have to tell yourself about enjoying a mid-ride beer.
Safety meeting. Safety meeting.
Safety meeting.
And nothing, not even downpouring rain, can keep these bicyclists from starting off the ride.
We're starting in 20 minutes, rain or not.
We've all done it lots of times.
Yeah.
Rain or shine, we ride it anyway.
Yeah.
We're addicted.
They're addicted to the experience.
The people.
The people.
People you meet.
This is probably the biggest biking event in the United States. And, I'd feel left out if I wasn't a part of it myself.
Cyclists have been participating in the event for years.
Team Angry started about 25 years ago. Next year will be 25th anniversary for us.
Once again, it's RAGBRAI. This is RAGBRAI 15 for myself.
For some, like Chris Devona from Illinois, the event represents more than just a bike ride.
When my grandparents passed away, we decided to do it in their honor 15 years ago, and we had so much fun we never stopped.
For the first-timers, however, there's a bit of an initiation.
His pals broke the marker.
It's all fun and games.
Most of us are drinking a tomato sports drink.
Oh, and also the nearly 500-mile-long bike ride.
There's a lot of socializing, you're right, but they're pretty stout riders.
Yeah.
It's not just occasional riders, you really have to train for this.
These folks are only on day one of the ride, but are already looking forward to doing it all over again next year.
Because where can you ride for almost 500 miles in a week?
Reporting in Council Bluffs.
It's just going out and getting rid of all your electronic devices and having good old fun.
This toddler, we'll call her Anna, just turned 2 years old and is facing deportation. Her father was stopped at the border, so she's now living with her uncle in Omaha. We're not identifying the girl or her uncle for their safety.
Y ella ya entiende todo, ya habla, juega, ya.
Okay, she understands now and she plays. She says, you know, dad and mom.
In May, her father was arrested for re-entry of removed alien and is still being held in Arizona. She was separated from him.
No goodbyes, just taken out of his arms, and that was that.
And taken to New York for months before having her immigration case transferred to Omaha so she could stay with family. Now they want to know why a 2-year-old is in deportation procedures.
To me, that's not good because she's a little girl. If she were 12, 13, 14 years old, she'd be able to understand, but she's a little girl.
Her attorney, Tom Campbell, wants to know how a 2-year-old is supposed to understand what's happening in court when she can barely talk.
I wish to be respectful, however, putting a 2-year-old in court to respond to charges when they can't even speak is barbaric and inhumane.
Court records indicate her father, who is from Guatemala, told the court he wanted to come back to Nebraska to make a better life for he and his daughter, and that he thought Central Americans could enter the U.S. with children.
What happens on a national level affects us in Nebraska. And as Nebraskans, I would hope that we can send a message to our leaders that we are better than this, that this is not who we are.
Anna's uncle hopes she can stay and get a good education in the U.S., or he'll be allowed to reunite her with her father, instead of her being deported, possibly without her dad.
I try to play her father's role, but I could never be her father, so it's hard.
Every small city has a hidden gem.
We always got good deals.
One of them in David City is Renee Cush's antique store.
I've been here 10 plus years.
But after being a staple in this farming community for more than a decade, time seemed to be running out.
If anything, I would have closed.
Different construction projects to nearby roads took 3 years to finish, which forced customers to take their business elsewhere.
The businesses, I think we kind of lost that will to live, you know, will to survive as a business.
But while Renee just considered closing, other businesses did just that.
The parent company has announced that they are going to move the jobs to Mexico and they will close.
A for sale sign looms just as large as the Fargo assembly factory that employed many local people.
It's 187 jobs. About 30% of the workforce is from David City.
David City experienced loss in another way too. Key figures who were behind Christmas traditions passed away, seemingly taking those events with them.
We haven't had any Christmas traditions. We did years ago, but it started to fade away.
But something else started to fade away too, and it's what small cities are known for: camaraderie.
The town was very divided. We were very depressed.
Kelsey Keeling of the Butler County Chamber of Commerce witnessed it all, especially after sending the release about the factory closing. But then, something good came out of it.
Little did I know that Hallmark Channel would actually read that.
Christmas presents come in many different forms. Some you have to unwrap, but others don't come in a box at all. And that's the type of gift David City received.
I love this one.
Hallmark, whose founder Joyce C. Hall is from David City.
Born in 1891 and then lived here till 1902.
Came and decorated the downtown streets after hearing about the long roads of bad luck.
It's really created a boost that our community needed.
Many stores also decorated early as Hallmark spiced up the city like never before.
16 feet. I'm short.
Then slowly, things started to change. Christmas festivals started coming back.
Perhaps that his shoes were too tight.
The downtown streets were once again full with people. And after word spread about Hallmark's makeover, many traveled from all across the nation to see it, which helped business owners like Renee.
It increased business 100-fold. I mean, it was like I never had hardly anybody come in, but now people from all over the United States have heard about it. People have come in. I mean, we're busy.
But maybe most importantly,
hi, Keith.
The excitement of everything happening lifted everyone's spirits.
The timing was perfect in a typical Hallmark movie.
You could just feel the spark.
Now heading into 2020, many are optimistic for what the future holds for David City. That just a few months prior was more of a curse than a gift.
We had a flood earlier this year. It's been kind of a tumultuous year, so to say, but it's really ended on a positive note for David City.